Monday. Happy
Happy Monday,
Monday,
guys.
everyone. For some people, it's a mindful Monday. Others, it's a motivational Monday. But if you're here on Say That channel, it's the Monday Rundown.
Say that, say that, say that.
Woo!
Welcome to another amazing week, guys.
So we love the Monday Rundowns because we get to talk about all the things that we don't get to talk about on our Wednesday shows, which are really earmarked for business and entrepreneurship. And so what we do is you guys have been sending us some great topics. Keep sending
Absolutely.
them.
Yeah, of
And
course.
we look to other content creators, other thought leaders on the topic, and then we all learn together. It's a lot of fun.
Absolutely. All right, guys, let's jump into this week's.
What do you do when you can't trust yourself? Great question. What do you do when you can't
Absolutely.
trust yourself? Well, that's going to cause a lot of confidence issues if you can't trust yourself, that's for sure. Um, I would suggest building little wins and then building off of those. So little wins like there's dishes in the sink, and instead of walking past them for the fifth time, no, I'm going to wash the dishes. And then instead of walking past the dishes for the sixth time, you actually wash the dishes. So it's like these little promises that you make to yourself, like, and then actually keep them. I think that's one way to slowly build back the trust in yourself. And if it sounds ridiculous and you're like, oh, that's ridiculous, like it's so easy to do that. Yes. Start with the things that are really easy and build on those. So that way, when you feel confident you can even do the easy things, then you can start to work your way towards the things that are more challenging for you to promise to yourself that you're going to do, and then
Handle. Yeah,
do them.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I love that. That's great advice. What comes to mind for me is I'm thinking of having conversations with clients that, let's say, for something that they're looking to change or modify in terms of where trust is an issue is with their diet. So
Mhm.
it's them finding themselves, hey, I'm eating things I don't want to eat. And what we usually identify, and this is usually a conversation you're having with adults, so they're in most instances in charge of like purchases, the food that's around them. They have some control, or at least they should have some say in what's going on there. And I would always just position it from a place of, set yourself up to win. If you know there's certain things that you're eating or you're gravitating to eating that you don't want to necessarily, then stop buying those things. It's again, if someone else, if some people have families, so I understand they have to have certain things around, but in most instances, if something's not necessarily the best for you to be eating health wise, it probably isn't the best for anybody else in your house to be eating as well. So it's always good just to have conversations with people around things like that. But really, the point I'm trying to get to is just position yourself to win. Set yourself up. Especially your environment. If you can control certain things, like we've talked on like other shows about, if getting to the gym is something you want to do, then setting the clothes out the night before. So if you trust, if the question is, hey, I can't trust myself to get up in the morning and then get out the door. I'm sure you do wake up, and if your bag was already packed with your things to go, just like Janelle said, it's like you're more likely the next time to do this thing, to take action on that thing.
I love that. Little friction as possible. All right.
Yeah.
Well, it's not just us talking about today's question. We are going to be looking to one of our favorites, the School of
Yeah,
Life, to hear what they have to say on the topic. And let's learn.
absolutely. Take us to school.
One of the most instructive stories in Greek mythology is to be found in Book 12 of Homer's Odyssey, where the central figure, Odysseus, king of Ithaca, is described as having to sail past an island inhabited by some compelling female figures known as the Sirens, famous for luring sailors to their deaths on their island's rocky shoreline by the sound of their song. Determined to avoid their fate, Odysseus devises a plan. As he approaches the island, he asks his sailors to tie him to the mast and to put beeswax in their ears, and then to disregard any pleas he might subsequently make, however impassioned. Sure enough, Odysseus does lose his reason and begs his sailors to get closer to the sirens, but the ropes tying him to the mast remain firm. The sailors follow their original orders, and the ship sails on unharmed. Odysseus becomes the only mortal ever to have heard the song of the sirens and lived. This story is enduring because, for all its fancy, it defines a mental maneuver that every good life should at points have recourse to. There are situations in which we have to concede that no finely wrought philosophical arguments in favor of wisdom will be effective, and that only the blunt removal of temptation can save us. When we are faced with lures which we're not strong enough to talk ourselves out of, we have to give others powers of attorney over us. We must willingly accept to be treated as children in order for precious parts of our adulthood to be preserved. We must accept without rancor the humiliating fact that we will simply lose control. The threats to our reasonableness might include an ex who ruined years of our life, but whom we long to call late at night in order to beg for another chance, or a teenage child who irritates us unbearably, but with whom we know we should never get into an argument, or an office colleague whom we must do our best to ignore, or a kind of chocolate biscuit we can't stop eating once we start, or a site on the internet we must never revisit. We each have our own version of the sirens, precisely tailored to the fault lines of our minds. When we have these fully in view, without too much loss of dignity, we must gather our sailors with whom we navigate our lives, and cede to them a temporary right to take away the tiller of our destiny. We must hand our friends our phones, give them the plug to our computer, tell them not to allow us into the shop, and ask them to monitor whom we have called. None of it is edifying, but it is in the end even less edifying to pretend that we can always lay claim to a reasonableness that is, in reality, only ever intermittently ours. The truly mature know when maturity is no longer an option. There are moments when, for a true friend to listen to us entails, in effect, not listening to us, because we have lost command of our executive functions, as we typically will when shame, loneliness, or despair grip us. We need to be sane enough to say to those who care for us, "I'm sufficiently strong to know how weak I am. Protect me from what I want. Do me the kindness of ignoring everything I will ask you for."
Yeah. School of Life. Thank you for that. I really enjoyed that because it touched on what you were describing, Winston, with people who want to work out and are trying to lose weight and those types of things. I think it took my little suggestion and like amplified it twofold as well, because ultimately that story is a great story. He got his sailors, his friends, his crew to help him out because he knew that he couldn't do it on his own. It's just another reminder that we can't live in this world alone. We are social creatures, and it requires vulnerability to admit that we can't do this alone. We don't have the willpower. We actually need help to get us.
Definitely got to rely on others. Yeah.
Yeah.
It speaks to it a lot. All right, man. This was a great video. Guys, let us know your thoughts in the comments below. Please share with us. Let us know. And if you have not done so already, please like, subscribe to this channel so that we know that we're adding value, and share the video with somebody you think could get some value from it as well.
All right. We'll see you next week. But until then, as always, remember, you deserve the good life. Say that.
Say that. We'll see you guys. Have an amazing week.